Ključne aktivnosti projekta vključujejo celovit izobraževalni program za zaposlene v kinematografih. V sklopu projekta potekajo redne dostopne filmske projekcije, ki so seveda prilagojene z ustreznimi dostopnostnimi elementi, kot so zvočni opisi, opisni podnapisi in tolmačenje v slovenski znakovni jezik. Še nekaj posebnega je pri projektu, namreč vključuje tudi organizacijo današnje, prve strokovne konference o dostopnosti in vključenosti v slovenskih kinematografih, ki je povezala tako domače kot tudi mednarodne strokovnjake, hkrati omogoča izmenjavo znanj, dobrih praks in izkušenj. Na oder vabim Gregorja Janežiča za pozdravni nagovor organizatorjev in predstavitev ciljev konference. Gregor, izvolite.
Zdravo, jaz sem hotel predstaviti majčken projekt, ampak je Toni že vse povedal, tako da bi vas samo pozdravil v imenu organizatorjev tega projekta, organizatorjev konference. Jaz prihajam iz kulturnega doma Cerknica, z nami sodeluje še Linhartova dvorana Radovljica in pa kino Mali Union iz Celja. Tako da upam, da bomo danes začeli in nadaljevali zgodbo dostopnosti v kinematografih in jo probali urediti na neki državni ravni, ne samo z entuziazmom posameznikov in financiranjem s projektov. Tako da, hvala.
Najlepša hvala, seveda Gregorju Janežiču za uvodne besede in pozdravni nagovor. Ja, tako kot lahko vidimo, ta hip še ne dela tista prej omenjena aplikacija, gre za res noviteto in smo trenutno tudi v kontaktu z razvojno ekipo, tako da verjamemo, da bo v kratkem pričela delati in da boste videli, za kakšno zares izjemno pridobitev gre. Ja, projekt Kino brez ovir predstavlja pomembno inovacijo v slovenskem prostoru. Hkrati pa bomo današnji del konference razdelili na 3 dele. Začeli bomo s prvim delom, kjer se bomo dotaknili predstavitev tujih praks in preko kratkih predavanj spoznali pristope k filmski dostopnosti in vključenosti v evropskih kinih. Torej najprej gremo v tujino, k primerom dobrih praks. Nato se bomo dotaknili stanja v Sloveniji in zaključili z zadnjim, tretjim delom, ki pa bo okrogla miza. V tem prvem delu pa, kot rečeno, imamo 3 govorke in naša prva govorka je socialna inovatorica ter producentka kulturnih in skupnostnih projektov. Že več kot 17 let ustvarja in vodi projekte na stičišču kulturnega, poslovnega in socialnega sektorja, pri čemer se posebej posveča dostopnosti, raznolikosti in socialni vključenosti. Deluje v Centru kulture ZAMEK v Pozdravnju. To je pomembno interdisciplinarno kulturno središče, ki letno gosti več kot 2500 dogodkov. Institucija razvija celostno strategijo dostopnosti od arhitekturne do vsebinske. Ja, in ob predstavitvi izkušenj kulturnega centra ZAMEK pri uvajanju dostopnih filmskih projekcij bo izpostavila sistemski vidik omogočanja dostopnosti ter dobre prakse z Poljske in iz drugih držav. V naši družbi pozdravljamo, we are proud to present our first speaker of the day, Joanna Stankiewicz from ZAMEK Culture Centre in Poland.
Okay, thank you very much, Luca. Okay, hello, my name is Joanna Stankiewicz and I'm representing Cinema Without Barriers program from ZAMEK Culture Centre in Poznań, Poland. I'm a middle-aged woman with blonde hair wearing glasses, and today I'm wearing black and blue. I will tell you more about what we do in a moment. First, maybe I will explain why the slide is empty. It is a technological issue, but also a great exercise. Because I would audio describe what was initially in the slide that is not visible today. A blue tint photo of an audience in a cinema with the text, Cinema Without Barriers, programming for everyone, and making film culture accessible to all. And this slide will accompany my speech for a moment, so use your imagination. And today I would like to start with something very simple, a story about my family. I consider my family to be quite average. There is nothing extraordinary about us, except perhaps that my father and mother were the first in our family to receive a higher education. All of my grandparents were peasants. Naturally, the next generation, my siblings and I, followed in our parents' footsteps and went to university. Today, we work, we have fun, we occasionally fight over Christmas dinner, of course, and we all love pets. And yet, within this average family, we are a diverse group of people. We have neurodivergent individuals. Someone has dyslexia, another has dyspraxia. Some of us face mental health challenges. My father now uses a hearing aid, and this is an average family. For a long time, we believed that equality meant treating everyone the same. And only recently have we begun to understand that true equality means recognizing different needs. If nearly 25% of adults in Europe, and this is the data from the European Agency, so 25% of adults in Europe experience some form of disability or long-term limitation, then accessibility is not about a small minority. It is about a quarter of our society. Patrick Wąsychowski, a film industry expert, put it perfectly at the third Forum Without Barriers that finished a month ago, and we were organizing it in Poznań, Poland. Quote, "Cinema is never just entertainment. It is not just culture. Cinema is social medicine. In our age of polarization and isolation, much of it caused by what should really be called anti-social media, cinema brings us together in a way that few other things can. But like any medicine, it only works if it is designed for the people who actually need it." And now, brief history of pharmaceuticals. For decades, medical research was conducted primarily on young white men. As a result, medications were calibrated to bodies that represented only a fraction of the population. And what happened? Women often experienced different side effects because their bodies were never part of the testing process. The system assumed that there was an average patient, but there isn't. The same applies to culture. If we design cultural spaces for a narrow, imaginary, average viewer, many people will simply remain outside. Oh, this slide is not empty. So this is the core philosophy behind Cinema Without Barriers, Kino bez barier in Polish, in Poznań, Poland. Launched in 2022 by the ZAMEK Culture Centre, we provide regular screenings with audio description, SDH subtitles, so subtitles for deaf and hard of hearing people, and Polish Sign Language interpretation. Our rooms are equipped with induction loops and are fully architecturally accessible. We show the same movies that are currently in commercial distribution, so that everyone can participate in culture at the same time and on the same level. We even take this project on the road to smaller towns during the holidays. And on the slide, we forget to mention that we are continuing this project in 2020. We continued in 2025, and we will continue in 2026. In 2025, Cinema Without Barriers reached almost 1,500 participants in 8 small towns across our region. For many, it was their first visits in cinema. All the pictures in the presentation, they are showing the screenings from Cinema Without Barriers. On this photo, you see people on wheelchair that are for the first time in the cinema for the first screenings, and there were, I think, a group of 10 or 12 people who came to the screening in Chodzież in Poland. 3 years ago, we launched the Forum Without Barriers, a gathering for professionals to exchange experiences and design systemic solutions. I will say a bit more later. And today, or for the last 2 years almost, our project has gone international, operating in Romania, in Slovakia, Hungary, and here in Slovenia. And I want to take a moment to thank Sara and Gregor for their vision in making Slovenian film culture accessible. So please, a huge round of applause for them. When we were preparing to this conference, Sara asked us to briefly say about the funding strategy. As you might notice, on each slide, there was a name of the funding institution. So we started with the grant. I will go back. We started with the grant from the State Fund for Rehabilitation of Disabled People. They launched a program which was called Culture Without Barriers. And this is why Cinema Without Barriers actually was launched. And then we worked on the finances by Europa Cinema's Collaborate to Innovate program, which I assume you know because we are here within this program also. And then the last project is financed by Creative Europe by Audience Development and Film Education Scheme. So our financing strategy is to mix the public funding and European grants. We are also financed by Polish Film Institute, and sometimes we are reaching out to Ministry of Culture. Still we didn't get from the Ministry of Culture, but maybe soon we will get some money also from them. And we are also a public institution, so we are financed by the Poznań municipality. And now I will skip 2 slides. So now I would like to switch to the trends in cinema. One of it is premiumization. At industry conference, we talk a lot about premiumization as the savior of the big screen. So it's advanced technology like IMAX or Dolby Vision, luxury seatings, luxury beverages, events. And I believe that accessibility is a premium quality because it improves the experience for everyone. So what does it mean? Audio description. We once thought this was only for the blind. We now know it provides the vital social and emotional context for neurotypical viewers who might struggle to read subtle facial expressions. It's an extra layer of storytelling. Yesterday I was watching the movie Deaf with the Slovenian audio description, and I found out that it also might be a great tool for foreigners who want to learn a language, because you see something and then someone is describing what you see. So you can, and from that I know 2 words in Slovenian. It is jajca and kokoška. And then next, SDH, so subtitles for deaf and hard of hearing. This is no longer a niche request. Based on the studies from the USA, 61% of Gen Z viewers, which is the future of our industry, prefer watching with subtitles, also in case of national production. They use them for streaming, and I assume that they would perfectly be happy to see them also in the cinema, because the subtitles helps them focus on the movie. And we know that there is this attention span problem within the younger generation, and subtitles can help them navigate different accents. And it might be also fun. If you want, you can check the phrase "tentacles squelching wetly" from The Stranger Things and see how accessibility might go viral. Sign language. For many deaf children, sign language is their mother tongue. They often learn the national written language as a foreign one. So just as hearing children, they don't read subtitles until a certain age, deaf children simply need sign language to participate in the cinema experience, but also in culture as a whole. By watching movies, we also learn some cultural codes that we are then using in real life for references. Like imagine how many times you are using the story about the Little Mermaid. Sometimes you can use it as an example. And imagine now the children that were not allowed, that they didn't have the opportunity to watch any of the Disney movie. They don't know the stories. But saying this, technology, the apps, the loops, the individual screens, which are required, for example, in Brazil to watch movies with sign language interpretation on your own individual screen. So these technology tools, they are only half of the battle. The other half is the relationship we build with our audience. When we schedule a blind-friendly or sensory-friendly show, we aren't just selling a ticket. We are building a brand that says, you are all welcome here. It's a safe space. Professor Marcin Adamczak, who made a summary of this year's Forum Without Barriers, noted that we cannot look back to pre-pandemic times. The world has changed. Accessibility is the new sound, a revolution as significant, it might be a revolution as significant as the introduction of synchronized audio in the 1920s. So I would like to tell you more about the global view of the accessibility. We see different models. There is an American model, which is a synergy between the market and NGOs. There are organizations like the American Council of the Blind that monitor the industry. Companies innovate because they recognize consumer power and because they know that they can be sued for discrimination under the Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA. The ADA is a landmark federal law that prohibits discrimination based on disability, and it has been the primary driver for accessibility in the US theaters. In Europe, we have different models. It's more like a carrot approach. For example, in France, the CNC finances the process of accessibility. In Germany, federal funding has been contingent on providing AD and subtitles since 2017. It's a basic law, like if you want public money, you might provide access for the public, for the society. There is also a model which might be perceived as a restrictive, like the stick, comparing to the carrot model of Europe. But I like it particularly because I think that we need the restriction also. So in Brazil, accessibility is a civil right. Since 2015, cinemas have been mandated to provide individual technology. By 2023, nearly 100% of commercial rooms were required to offer AD, SDHD, and Libras, which is Brazilian Sign Language. In India, the censor board, CBFC, recently mandated that films cannot receive a screening certificate, so they cannot go on screens in cinemas, without accessible versions. In a market of 1,500 films a year, this is a massive shift. And the message, I think, is clear. The era of optional accessibility is ending. You can either lead the change or wait until you are forced to catch up by outside policymakers. And I think accessibility is also not a charity. It is a human right, but on the other hand, it's also a business model. In Great Britain, they use a term I love, the purple punt. It refers to the spending power of households with at least one disabled person. According to the Return on Disability Group, the global disposable income of this group is estimated at $13 trillion. It's a huge amount of money. When a cinema becomes accessible, it gains the whole family, not only one person, or the whole group of friends. And I think of an elderly couple in our cinema who hadn't seen a movie together in years due to the fact that the husband was losing his hearing. After we installed the induction loop, they returned to us over 100 times. That is long-term audience development. We are growing our market share in an era where every ticket counts. Oh, sorry, this one. And how we in Poland how did we move from a few special screenings to a nationwide system? It required three things: mandates, money, and cooperation. Following the first Forum Without Barriers, which was organized in 2024, we launched the Film for All initiative, bringing together distributors, cinema owners, and NGOs. We worked to tighten existing regulation, because since 2018, Polish Film Institute required AD and SDH for funded films. But it was often a dead letter, because the files never reached the cinemas. Now we have integrated accessibility into the Polish Film Institute's operational programs. A producer receiving public funds must provide accessible files to the distributor, who must make them available to the cinema. We also managed, and I perceive it as a huge success personally, because for me the accessibility for young audience is the most important thing. We also managed to implement a requirement to embed Polish Sign Language interpreter in all the Polish family and children movies up to the age of 16 years old, because we checked that this is the age when the deaf children can easily start to read subtitles without the access to the sign language interpretation. And our initiative, the initiative Film for All, was also invited to join the accessibility team at the Polish Film Institute, and we are currently working with the ministry on amendments to the existing cinematography bill, because we want the same requirement to apply to foreign distributors of foreign movies, especially to the big studios, because still in Poland we cannot see Disney or Warner or UIP movies with accessibility. Once again to the slide. I recently attended the European Digital Cinema Conference in Warsaw, and one session about the cinema industry in Ukraine struck me deeply. We heard about staff shortages because all the male employees are at the front line. Air raid sirens interrupting screenings, and electricity prices 4.5 times higher than before the invasion. Yet people still go. They go to the cinema, quote, to have 2 hours of normal life. They are treating it like a pill of normality. This is the ultimate proof that cinema offers something streaming cannot offer, a sense of community. It is a social situation. And if we want this community to reflect our societies, we must stop treating equality as treating everyone the same. Equality means recognizing different needs. If we accept that difference is the norm, then accessibility stops being a niche issue. On the slide, you will find the QR codes to the toolbox of accessible cinema, both in Polish and in English. And we are probably planning to publish another one in future. On our website, there are also research reports from the research that we conducted in Poland, but also in Romania, in Slovenia, in Slovakia, and Hungary. And to summarize it, I deeply believe that accessibility is not an add-on. It is a long-term audience development. The cinema of the future must be accessible. not because it is charitable, but because it is sustainable. Thank you very much.
Ja, takole, kot smo obljubili, lahko preverimo in res tale sistem oziroma aplikacija dela. Tako da vas lahko ob tej priložnosti seveda vse povabim, da prevzamete slušalke za sinhroni prevod iz angleščine v slovenščino, če jih potrebujete, mi pa preverimo, če res delajo tile prevodi. In sicer, let's see, is this working? Deloma, preverimo še takole. I will translate everything that you say. Even your thoughts. Dela. In seveda lahko zdaj tudi to izkoristimo za morebitna vprašanja Joani. Če imate kakšno vprašanje, ga lahko seveda zastavite bodisi v slovenščini, v slovenskem znakovnem jeziku ali v angleščini. Any questions for Joanna? Yes, we have. Še mikrofon predamo in hvala za prvo vprašanje.
Hvala lepa. Hello, Igor Prasel from Slovenian Cinematheque. So just a short note on, you were explaining about Poland. What is there, what is needed, like children films and so on, but what about film heritage? Is it that somebody is thinking also about film heritage and providing accessibility to those part of cinema history to the disabled audiences? Thank you.
Yeah, it's a great question. Because it's also about the cultural codes that we are using. I remember one consultation with our senior audience, and they told me, like, when I asked what do you want to see in the cinema, and they said about a comedy from the 80s that we are all using in our, like referring to it. So this is really important, especially with the trend of classics being again in the movies, screened in the movies. So in the cinema, sorry. So yeah, the Polish Filmothek, National Filmothek, I think it will be the translation. They already have a lot of films accessibilized, but the problem is that they are online on the website, and we are like there is this thought that we need to also persuade them to prepare the accessibility for the cinema movies, because we were, for example, last year we were doing 3 screenings of the 90s classics films, and it was a huge struggle because we had the accessibility tracks, but it was made for 24 frames per second, and we had the movie 25 frames per second, so there was a technological issue, but we managed. So here it shows that there is a lag between different models of showing the movies, like on website, but also in the cinemas. So yeah, I think that it's just a simple idea of use the same access tracks that we already made, because there was a huge amount of money that were going to the heritage, and it was required to do also accessibility. But for now, they are not in the cinema, so there is also a lack, and this is also that there are sometimes gaps within the laws or policies or rules that we need to cover and we need to focus on, and this is one of it. Thanks.
Hvala, Igor, za vprašanje. Še kakšno vprašanje? Izvolite.
Lepo pozdravljeni, sem iz Zveze društev gluhih in naglušnih Slovenije, kjer že 20 let vodim program za kulturo in sodelujem tam na različnih projektih. Imam vprašanje, kako so poljski gluhi nekako ponotranjili ta projekt in kakšen je prispevek? Kako so vključeni in kakšen je njihov prispevek?
Translation in English.
translation in English, not done by the application. I will try to do it.
Sorry. I thought it was...
No worries.
So what was the contribution to the Polish deaf audience, and how were they included in your project?
Mhm. So we were doing like a consultation with deaf community within our city, because we started in 2022 and the idea was only to have two screenings. So we went from the small thing to the bigger one. So at the beginning we went to both organizations that are working with deaf community in our city, and we were asking like about a lot of things, about what films they want to see, if our promotional materials are good to them, how they want to include the sign language interpreter, like on the screen, they prefer on the screen or the live translation. So it was more about like asking, not as much including them in programming. But now within the group at the Ministry of Film, at the ministry that we want to work on cinematography bill, there is a representative of deaf community who is working within us to towards accessibility in culture. So yeah, it's a still we miss in Poland, and I really admire it, for example, in Slovakia, that the deaf community is very much engaged also in programming and in conducting the meetings. But in Poland we still miss it.
Najlepša hvala za vprašanje, hvala za prevod.
Thank you.
Še kakšno vprašanje? Aha, izvolite. Vam lahko še mikrofon predamo.
My name is Kender Adam from the Ministry of Culture. Thank you for your presentation. You mentioned the Accessibility Fund. So I would like to hear, because you have also said that you don't get the funds from the Ministry of Culture. So how is everything being financed? Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there is a special program within the Ministry of Culture, which is Accessible Culture. We don't apply to this program because it requires that we don't sell tickets, so everything is free, and due to some legal and tax issues, we cannot do it as a public institution. But there is such fund, and it is really good for NGOs or smaller institutions. We mostly work on grants from Polish Film Institute, and because they invited us to be a part of Accessibility Council, we managed to persuade them that in all the programs there are like a points for accessibility. And also, if you want, for example, now you can also adjust the cinema in an infrastructural way. So there are programs to buy induction loop, to install induction loop, there are to buy the headsets, so there are a specific costs that are qualified. And it is changing, yeah.
Super, hvala za vprašanje. Še kakšno vprašanje za Joanno? Aha, izvolite. Še mikrofon.
I would like to know what are your impressions how the general public got this initiative, or when like deaf, partially sighted, blind start coming to cinema and having all this adaptation, see also by general public. I hope I put the question in the right way to understand.
Okay, is it that about how is it for? If I understand well, I will try to answer. Like we started from the beginning there was a huge audience from the blind community, but also from the deaf community. And at the beginning we struggled with the size of our screening room, because it was only 48 seats back then. Then we moved to the bigger screening room, which is now 143. And from the beginning, very important for us was that the Cinema Without Barriers, it's not a ghetto screenings only for blind users or only for deaf community. We wanted to be regular screenings with access tools for those who were previously excluded from participating in these regular screenings. So, and from the beginning, like in the beginning, there were more of the audience for blind and deaf community, because also there was this thought within viewers, we noticed it also in our research, that because there was only 2 screenings per week with audio description, some regular cinema goers, they didn't want to take someone's seat. So they were not coming to the cinema. But it was in 2022. Now it's totally different. There are some movies which really like attract such a diverse group of viewers that it's unimaginable. But also when we organized last year Festival Cinema Without Barriers, there was a screening for children, and there was a father of 2 young girls, and he approached to us saying like, "Thank you, I came here by mistake. I didn't know that it is Cinema Without Barriers screenings. It was the first time that I saw the screening with the sign language interpretation. And I want my children to grow up in such an environment. I want them to know that there are different communication tools, and that the people with disabilities, they are part of our society." And it was very important for us. And the other thing was that also the price tickets is very low. It's only 5 zlotys, which is like €1. But it also brings down the economic barrier. So sometimes families are coming to us because they can spend only €4 for a whole family instead of spending €25 for one cinema going experience. I hope I answered.
You answered perfectly. Thank
Thank you very much.
Hvala za vprašanje. Še kakšno vprašanje? Še kakšna roka z vprašanjem za Joanno? Upam, da nisem česa spregledal. Sicer pa lahko ob tej priložnosti še enkrat izrazimo veliko zahvalo naši prvi gosti. Thank you for sharing your experiences and knowledge with us. Ja, zagotovo kopice iztočnic, ki nam bodo še istile v nadaljevanju našega današnjega programa, ampak dobro je, da ostanemo seveda pri vseh izkušnjah iz tujine in pri vseh dobrih praksah. Sedaj se iz Poljske selimo v Romunijo. Namreč naslednja govorka je kulturna menedžerka, specializirana za dostopnost filmskih projekcij. Predstavila bo orodja in pristope, s pomočjo katerih lahko filmski delavci, festivali in kinematografi zagotavljajo inkluzivno audiovizualno izkušnjo za ljudi vseh generacij in zmožnosti. Deluje v okviru organizacije Animest Association, neodvisne kulturne organizacije, ki podpira razvoj romunske animacije skozi festivale, izobraževalne programe in mednarodne projekte. Njihov osrednji projekt pa je mednarodno priznani festival animiranega filma Animest v Bukarešti, ki poleg filmskega programa razvija tudi številne pobude za mlade ustvarjalce, profesionalni razvoj in dostopnost, med drugim projekt Animest Together, namenjen izboljšanju dostopnosti za raznolike skupine občinstva. Ogromno izkušenj, ki bomo delili skupaj, in sicer tokrat, kot rečeno, prihajajo iz Romunije. Predstavitev dostopnosti praks festivala Animest je pripravila Ligia Soare iz Romunije. Please welcome our next speaker, Ligia Soare from Romania.
Now it's working. Thank you very much. Hello, hi everybody. Ligia Soare from Romania. Romania in sign language. And my name, Ligia Soare, and my sign is this, because my surname in Romanian means sun, the sun in the sky. So the Romanian deaf community gave me this precious sign, and I'm really proud of it. First of all, I would like to share an example of maybe not an easy success from a country where accessibility is not the rule, from a country where the laws are not perfect, far from perfect, and from a country where a film festival had to start an initiative, otherwise we would not have been here. And I don't know, I feel like we are far behind, but we had to do many quick steps in order to bring to the people, or to bring the people together in a very friendly way. Animest is a film festival which was founded 20 years ago in 2006. We were all younger and full of energy, and we started this festival when there were very few film festivals in Romania, and there was very little funding for these kind of things. It's an Oscar qualifying film festival and the only one in Romania. From 2017 for the trophy of the festival, and since 2 years ago also for the Romanian short film. So a Romanian animated short gets to be watched by a lot of people, and who knows, maybe one day qualify on the short list of the Oscars. It's maybe not a big thing, but for a very small industry, it's really important. What we do at the festival, 10 days per year, we bring the people together to feel good, to forget about all the troubles, and to just enjoy a genre, a film, type of film which is usually associated to children, but it's not really like that. We've been proving for 20 years that animation can really be for everybody. We have lots of events which are 18 years plus, so imagine the kind of animation that we promote. We have sometimes over 100 guests per edition. We've been involved in education through film for a long time, preparing screenings for children in schools, bringing the kids to the festival, taking animated workshops to schools and so on, just for you to have a rough view of what we do as a festival and why it was important for us to start bringing accessibility to cinemas in Romania. We also have a lot of events throughout the year, so it's those 10 days, but it's a lot beyond that. We work with teenagers, and we have a nice community in Romania and Moldova of over 300 high schoolers who love animation and digital arts, and we prepare them maybe for some universities where they can study animation or film in general. We also work with young audiences, and we have a program called Animest, and we have a thing called Animest Academy, where the teachers use animated films to teach regular subjects, or maybe emotions, or maybe just talk a bit about what audiovisual means. Then we also encourage women filmmakers, and we have a program which is called Sisterhood of Young Animation Authors. We also encourage young filmmakers, and we do some pitching sessions, and then also film critics. We also brought accessibility, and last year we started something which we call Animest împreună, which means Animest together. And in my mind, listening to Joanna now, I was thinking, but Animest together should become cinema together, and maybe one day culture together in Romania. Hopefully not very far in the future. We also have festival editions in Chișinău, in the Republic of Moldova. We went back last year for the 11th time, and purposely I let the last thing that I would like to mention before going on to really what happens in Animest, accessible Animest, is AFN, Animation Festival Network. They told me there is a button. Yes, this is the magic button, which is a network of 5 film festivals in 5 countries from Central and Eastern Europe. One of the countries is Slovenia, and we collaborate with Animateca, and I saw that my friends are here, meaning that we in the 5 countries are taking our job of inclusivity and accessibility of films very seriously, and we hope that through our festivals we can bring it a bit further, not only for our festivals, but for cinema in our countries in general. This is our logo, which is over 20 years old, still young, I hope. And now, going to accessibility, why we wanted to bring accessibility to our festival. And actually, it's funny, but I think I will go into money, budget from the start, because yes, we have basically budget for the festival, but it doesn't mean that you can use a lot from that money to accessibilize the films. These are, from the start, very sensitive issues, because in Romania you don't get funding for accessibility. Even if you have all the tools and the knowledge, you need to find ways to find money which does not disrupt the festival funding, but still can bring you a bit more than just regular screenings at the festival, which were not, until very recently, friendly. There were lots of barriers for people who are deaf or who are blind, or even who have reduced mobility. And I will tell you exactly what the barrier is for those people. So we started in 2023, where I knew a bit of SDH, because I'm officially an audiovisual translator, meaning that I translate film. That's my basic job, so to say. And I was interested in learning what to do in order to make my subtitles accessible for deaf people. And not for the films that I translate in general, because in Romania nobody was requesting that. Maybe very few people knew that it existed, but for our festival. Because every year when the festival starts and we really want to bring the joy to as many people as possible, I go on stage like now and I say, and we are very happy to open this festival, and we invite you all to the festival. And I realized at some point that it was a lie. I was not inviting everybody. I was inviting selected people who could come to the festival because they could hear and see the films. They had no barriers in bringing their wheelchair here, because that was their only way of getting here. Or maybe there were so many other barriers I didn't have in mind. And then I thought, that's shameful of us, because we would like to be friendly with a lot of people, but we never thought. Why never? Because in our society, you don't really see disabled people outside. You don't, if you see a deaf person in the street and they don't sign, you will never know that they are deaf. Blind people in Bucharest, for them it's a huge challenge. So you don't see, it's very rare to see a blind person with a stick in the street in Bucharest. You don't see, so these are invisible people, but I heard huge communities who really love entertainment and cinema and everything that we love. And when we started thinking about that, we said, first of all, we need to get to know those people. We need to become friends, and we need to find the money so that the barriers don't exist, little one by one. And then I heard about this funding by Orange Foundation, which basically until 2023, they were giving money to social projects, not really to cultural ones. I checked who had taken the money from them, and there were Association of the Blind, Association of the Deaf, all sorts of, maybe some NGOs too, but on this social side. And I said I should convince them that culture also needs no barriers, and that we have the energy and the willingness to do that. And I convinced them to give us some money, and we started a project called Eyes and Ears, which took place for around 15 months, meaning that we worked with young deaf people. We went to deaf schools, because deaf schools still exist in Romania, and we have 3 in Bucharest, 2 are quite big, just to learn what those kids needed, what kinds of films they were watching, and what kinds of accessibility they needed. And I was fully convinced from the start that they need bilingual audiovisual content, meaning that subtitles are not enough, not even those beautiful adopted subtitles. And in Romania, nobody knows what their level of spoken or written Romanian is, because there are no statistics about that. And they need sign language, because Romanian sign language is their mother tongue. For some Romanians, because there are some other Romanians for whom another sign language is their official language. For example, in Transylvania, there is a minority sign language because they are Hungarian, they come from Hungarian families, but living in Romania, so there is a sort of Romanian-Hungarian sign language, but that's another story. So I realized that you need bilingualism when the deaf people and deaf children, because that was my first focus, deaf children come to the cinema. And we started this, and we got some money from Orange Foundation. Almost at the same time, I was proposing to the French Institute in Bucharest, because I've been their translator for a long time, to say, guys, I'm learning how to do subtitles for the deaf. If you ever, because they have a cinema, if you ever think about that, I'm here and maybe we can bring deaf audiences to the cinema. Okay, maybe they didn't really think about it that much. But then they said, but there are some projects, European projects, maybe we can get involved. And when I heard that Poland was getting involved and wanting to become a leader to Cinema Without Barriers, I said, yes, I know that Poland is doing a great job. I want to learn from Poland. And this is how we got into Cinema Without Barriers program. We brought it to Romania, to the cinema of the French Institute, and I became the coordinator of that. And from then on, we've been bringing accessible cinema to accessible films to that cinema in Bucharest. So at the same time, we were doing Cinema Without Barriers and Eyes and Ears. Then we continued to look for money to bring more accessibilized films. Last year, we had some money from the Ministry of Culture. There is a call, but not for accessibility, like for culture projects in general. And we did a project called Animated Emotions, where it was not only about films, it was also about animated workshops. And we went to lots of schools, and not only in schools, we did 11 two-day workshops with 123 kids, many of them deaf, some of them neurodivergent from all over Romania, and they actually produced animation. It was not only being spectators and watching, but actually expressing themselves through this art. There are no limits. It's just you need to think outside the box, think about how you can make your event accessible, and then the people will just feel included and invited, and that's just normal. Now we are doing another project because we got some more money, not that much, but still enough to bring accessibility not only to Bucharest, but outside to the whole country. And this project is called Animest Super, and until the end of July, we are taking accessibilized film, always animation, around the country for the blind, the deaf, neurodivergent, friendly screenings, and trying to see what kind of venues we find so that mobility will not be an issue. We wanted from the start to bring quality accessibility and not only just to tick a box. We wanted to respect European and international norms, but also the needs of the communities, because it's useless to write a beautiful project and to pretend that you will bring accessibility on the screen without really knowing what they need, without really getting them involved. For us at this level, it's not only consulting them, just asking if this audio description is right or wrong, if this interpretation is right or wrong, is getting them involved. How? I will show you some pictures now. When we started in 2024, the focus was hearing impairment. So people with all sorts of hearing levels. And for that, I was telling you that we went to deaf schools just to understand how it works. I realized that sometimes a deaf person, just like any person who might not be deaf, may have some other issues. For example, in Romanian deaf schools, there are lots of neurodivergent kids. So that's multiple disability, as they call it. But it just means that you need to keep in mind that that kid or that spectator needs something else too, besides sign language and written subtitles. Then, because we had no translators specializing in SDH in the country, we brought a professor who trained us for a whole week with the deaf by our side, testing all sorts of versions of SDH and sticking to some guidelines which are universal but adapted to Romanian needs. Then we also started working with sign language interpreters. There was no sign language interpreter in Romania who had experience in interpreting film. But we got to know the communities. We started with this guy who had experience. He's a coda, so his parents are deaf. Sign language is actually his mother tongue too. And he had experience in signing for concerts, for music, live sign language. And he was very curious. He said, yeah, let's do it. I had a long conversation with him. We worked on a film together, me from the perspective of translating, him from the perspective of interpreting. And then we went to a studio, an animation film studio, which has a huge green screen and all the people who know how to do editing of images and so on. I checked if it's better to have the interpreter on the screen and what kind of size and light and so on, or on the stage. We had lots of examples and we convinced ourselves and everybody that it's better to have the interpreter on the screen, not in a square, but integrated there, and the interpreter appears only when there are subtitles or things to interpret. Otherwise, you just watch the film without the interpreter. So it's a lot of editing work behind that, but it's really worth it because the film is fine for everybody, not only for the people who need the interpreter. The interpreter is not small and you don't struggle to see what they are signing. The light is perfectly balanced with the light of the film so that the product stays the same without losing the quality, because it's horrible for a filmmaker to find out, yes, my film is going to be screened for a variety of audiences, but it looks bad because the light of the interpreter, it casts a shadow on the screen, or there's so much light on the interpreter because the deaf people need to see well the hands and the face, while my film is quite dark and it doesn't fit. We didn't want that. It means that every film is accessibilized according to their needs, to the particular needs of that film. It's a lot of work, but the results are far better than just putting an interpreter there. This is from the training of audiovisual translators. 13 of us started. I think at this point only 3 or 4 are really working on SDH when it's needed. And because I had this advantage of having one cinema room in Romania, a beautiful art house cinema, equipped already through Cinema Without Barriers, with headsets, with induction loop, with everything that we needed, I had this luxurious situation in which there is a cinema in Bucharest, which is equipped. Everybody knows that they can have accessibilized screenings there. So we started also bringing animation to this cinema, and our collaboration was even stronger, because this is one of the cinemas which hosts our festival every year. Okay. We also did training for cultural managers from museums and theaters. We started learning together. And we brought this professor, Joselia Neves, who has experience in accessibilizing not only subtitles, but also whole countries. She had been in Qatar for 10 years, and she brought accessibility to sports, to everything. So she had a lot of knowledge, and actually practical knowledge. And she taught a team of people from Bucharest, because it's not just enough to invite the people maybe once a year to an accessibilized film screenings. Everybody should have a choice. If I can hear and see, if I want to go to a concert, to dance, to opera, to theater, and so on, I can just look at the list of things that happen in Bucharest and I can choose. I really want to pave the way so that people, blind or deaf people in Romania, can do the same. Just choose whatever they want and not be forced to just come at 5 o'clock on Tuesday, once in a few months, just to watch a film that I selected for them, which is not, it doesn't mean that they have a choice. It's better than nothing, but this is not what we should, okay, that's better than nothing, that's fine. It's not where you should stop. Then in 2025, we went further, and we also prepared audio description for some of our animated films. We did a training, and this training in audio description was done in 2024 with the help of Cinema Without Barriers. So 10 people became audio describers. Out of them, there are 4 of us who still do this, and 2 who still really constantly do that, and they are now really good at it. We also had blind consultants. I invited blind people to tell us what exactly they need, because Romanian blind people had a very limited experience of audio description and in Romanian, but they had a lot of experience in listening to audio description online. Americans, Canadians, they've been doing it for 30 years. They are quite good at it. So my Romanian blind friends, they said, yes, but we want that quality. We want those great voices fitting every film. We want those great, narrations. We don't just want it to be there and to just tick a box. So we worked together to see what style of audio description fits them best. Of course, when you talk to 3 blind people, it doesn't mean that you have the impressions of all the blind people, but you have more than nothing, and you have a glimpse of that, and maybe you will ask somebody else and see what exactly they need. Something to keep in mind: when you accessibilize the film, you will never please everybody. There will always unavoidably be somebody left behind, but the less people left behind, the better. And what you do now, even if you think it's perfect and great, will change in a few months or a few years, because it's natural. You talk to the others, you try to learn more, and then technology is in perfect evolution. It means that there might be some other tools which help, and you just have this duty now to incorporate that into what you do and to offer a variety. Variety is key, a variety of services. Then we trained our staff, and every year, because in our festival we have around 100 volunteers, otherwise we would never do it. And younger people are very, very interested in learning about accessibility. They know a bit more than many of the people, because, for example, neurodiversity for them, I realized it's something natural, they are interested, and they have a lot of ideas around it. So it was easy for me to get young volunteers involved into learning about accessibility for the cinema. Here you have, this is an international dog of a blind person who came to our festival last year. This is from screening and animation workshop for neurodivergent people. And this lady here, she's from an NGO who's been working with neurodivergent children and teens for a long time, and they've been our friends into doing this. You never organize alone, you organize all the time with communities, with other NGOs, with institutions, with national associations, everybody together. This is the key. This guy here is using, so it's a kid sitting on the chair in the cinema, using a headset for audio description. He is not blind. There was, and I don't have here from last week when we had 40 blind kids in the cinema using that, but why is this guy using this if he doesn't need it? Because the film was in French with Romanian subtitles. He is young enough not to speak French and young enough not to read subtitles, but the audio description offered 2 voices. One was the description of what was going on, and the other one was the voiced subtitles into Romanian. So 2 actresses, one of the actresses was doing like reading subtitles. And this guy, little guy, because he couldn't read subtitles in Romanian, he used audio description to listen to the subtitles into Romanian. So you prepare an accessibilized film for the blind, but actually it's not only for the blind, it's for a lot more people. And of course, all his friends wanted to do that. Wow, we want this, it's like television. And even if they were older and they could read, they just, you know what happened to these kids who are hearing and so no sight impairment? They participated in an accessibilized screening, even if they thought they didn't need it, but they knew how it worked, and for them it's becoming natural. They know that somebody around them might need those headsets for a reason, and they know that this could be something that you can ask for in any cinema. So paving the way in awareness and not only offering a tool for people who officially need it. Here there is an image from Tales from the Magic Garden, which is that famous animated film released last year in our lovely region. This is an interpreter doing, integrated onto the screen. And this is a type of subtitles that we do, so meaning that we use colors for these accessibilized screenings. White is for the dialogues, so it's a translation of whatever is said in the film, and we use yellow for whatever indications of sound or noises or name of the character. For example, Derek was speaking here, but you cannot see Derek in the image. So I, as a hearing person, will hear the voice of Derek. I know Derek from the previous scenes in the film, but the people who don't see Derek, if they only see a cat, a little cat, it says here, they will not know who said a little cat. It's not the cat saying, right? So you put that. With these double colors, it means that hearing people can focus on the white thing all the time, and people who need extra information will also read the yellow one. It works because I checked I had read some research about that, so I knew what I was doing was not disruptive, but I checked with Romanian hearing people. They said, oh, the first seconds, what are these colors? And then, oh, that's fine, I will only follow the white thing. And that was good. While deaf people who can also read, some deaf people are not signing because, let's say, they lost their hearing later in life. So they will only count on these details that I put here. And it's a nice experience because last year after one of these screenings, there was a lady in her 50s, I think, deaf from birth, but knowing good written and Romanian. And she came to a screening with accessibilized subtitles, and she said, gosh, I never knew there was so much sound in a film. I knew there was sound, but so much of it. I didn't even put all the sound, of course. I just put sound which has narrative value. But she realized, there was so much that I was missing when I just watched films and I only saw subtitles. Subtitles are not everything. You can do a test yourself. Just cover your ears and try to follow a film with subtitles without any other information of the sound. You will not understand everything of the film because a lot of it comes from the sound. Romania is a subtitling country, so we don't dub. We only dub children's films for television, all the children's films for television in those TV channels for kids. But in cinemas, nothing for adults is dubbed, everything is subtitled, so we have tradition in subtitling in our country. Okay, 2025, it was the 20th edition of our festival, a big thing for us, and a big thing also for accessibility in, I would say, Romania, not only film festivals in Romania. For the moment, we are the only film festival doing accessibility. We collaborate with some other festivals in Romania who heard about our initiative, and we send the films that we accessibilized to them. Some from Animest, some others from Cinema Without Barriers. We also collaborate with some filmmakers who said that they would like their films to be accessibilized, even if the National Film Centre does not request that. So in Romania, if you make a film with public money, and well, public money also means tax from blind people or deaf people, the law and the film center does not require that you accessibilize your film. They only need English subtitles. Why? Because it's a proof that your film went to festivals. It was wonderful, everybody saw it, but not people in your country who also paid for it. It's not a rule yet, but some filmmakers realize it's important, and they took up accessibility on their own, or with help of some festivals and so on. So things are, it's not moving from here, it's moving from down here towards up. It's also one solution, and it might work if we push it far enough. So in the last edition of our festival, we had 7 films with Romanian Sign Language in 23 accessibilized screenings. After Bucharest, we went to other cities and to schools around the country and where we showed the films. 2 or 3 of these films also had audio description. There were also film workshops inclusive for adapted to neurodiverse and deaf people. We also did a lot of trainings, and I've been traveling to a lot of places doing trainings and webinars and masterclasses myself. In the meantime, I studied and I did an international master's in accessibility in media, arts and culture. It exists. There is one university in Italy doing it online, so everybody can do it if you really are interested in this field. And we also got an award. Oh, sorry. Not this one, this one. We also got an award, which was 10,000 euros, just because somebody there, yes, it was a national thing last year, so there were some awards called Diploma Awards for Inclusivity Initiatives. Again, not many cultural things happening, but for our Eyes and Ears project with deaf kids, we got that award. It means that at some, well, it's not much, but when you say 10,000 that you can spend on accessibility, this means fully accessibilizing maybe 2-3 films if you are lucky enough. Okay, and then there is something beautiful also, because it's not only Romania and our film festival. I was telling you at the beginning about our lovely friends from the Animation Festival Network, which is Slovenia, Slovakia, Croatia, the Czech Republic, and Romania. One animation film festival from these countries, and now as a network, we've been promoting inclusivity and accessibility in our festivals, meaning that we bring films with sign language, films with subtitles, films with audio description, think about neurodivergent audiences, and so on. And it's not only our festivals, it's more festivals and more people in our countries hearing about that and knowing that there are some people who already have experience in doing it. But not everything is pink and fluffy. There are many, many things which, as a festival, are barriers in whatever you do. Because, for example, we are not a cinema. We go to and rent cinemas and venues in Bucharest or in some other places to have our festivals. And in Bucharest, the cinemas, they have a horrible situation because nobody opened a new cinema and all the other ones, many of them are closed. Very few art house cinemas in Bucharest already left standing. It means if they are, some of them are heritage buildings and they are not equipped with accessible features. And if we go there for 10 days, it means that we cannot produce great changes in those places. We just adapt them, fix them a bit, maybe with a ramp. It's not enough. It's not an ideal situation, but now in the last few years, we've been thinking about selecting those venues more carefully. Sometimes it's an alternative venue and not officially a cinema, just because we know that they are friendlier, that everybody can come without a barrier, that the toilets are accessible. This is a detail, but it's very, very important for people who need them. Also, because we only use them, sometimes not even 10 days a year, even less. So from a festival's perspective, the venues are a big problem. So when you want an accessibilized screening to happen, sometimes you don't choose the building, the cinema, because it has a good projector and a good quality of sound. You also check about accessibility features like mobility and so on. And then it's also a problem about the festival size, because last year we had 94 screenings in 7 venues. Not all the 7 venues were accessible to people with different disabilities. We had 7,000 minutes of animation, of film. It's impossible to accessibilize 7,000 minutes, even if you start 2 years before the festival, which is not the case, because the festival is in October, we do the selection in June and July, then we have maybe 2 months of really working on those films. Then we had a lot of events which could not be accessibilized because sometimes we didn't have, let's say, enough sign language interpreters. In Romania, there is a very limited number of sign language interpreters. Now we started, last year we also started working with deaf interpreters who accessibilize our films, but for a deaf interpreter it's harder to be there on stage if there is not another interpreter who is hearing, and we also sometimes do this, a coda interpreter staying there and being like mirroring whatever they are hearing for the deaf interpreter who actually interprets for the community in their own language more fluently than anybody else. So it's a possibility, it's a way of doing it, but it doesn't work for all the events, and we don't have the resources, the time, the finance, and the staff, the people resource to do it all the time. Then, because we are a festival and we don't have a cinema throughout the year, we need continuity, we need projects all year round, and this is why we also focus on this accessibility all year round, offering a bit of things, not only those 10 days, but 12 months a year. We are understaffed, actually, because only 4 people of us focus on the festival the whole year. This is the whole team, and actually each of us has other side jobs also. So imagine very few people who would like to do a lot more, but we just cannot. We count on volunteers, and this is very important, and we also count on communities and on their, let's say, influencers. Because if you get on your side, let's say, an influencer deaf person, it's more valuable to give them the information and them to transmit, to give it further to their communities than even giving the same message, let's say, to the National Association of the Deaf and hoping that they will give the message across. It's good to work with those people who are, well, who have a power in their communities, and it's not only about deaf or blind, it's in general, right? So each of us is following some people, and if those people have the right information, let's say, about accessibilized film, they have more chance of getting to me than, let's say, a newsletter, which maybe I will delete the second I see it in my inbox. Then, of course, budget is a problem. We need to struggle and to find all sorts of alternative money to convince all sorts of institutions to be on our side. Nobody will say no, because accessibility is a sensitive matter. Now what I'm trying to do is reach bigger companies who would like to spend money on that, just because in their conscience, they want to have a clear conscience and, oh yes, we are contributing to accessibility a bit. I want to convince them that this is a serious thing, that everybody will take advantage of that, and that actually those people are also consumers. If they want their products to be reached by deaf and blind people, they would better contribute and be visible even for the blind, right? For those people too. So let's get together. If they have some money to spend, we know how to spend it, so that even more people in the room, a variety of people are there and they reach their product. So it's a win-win situation, I hope. Then, of course, I'm coming from a country where there is no national policy regarding accessibility or even education through culture. So trying to get schools and parents and teachers aboard, and then trying to push things further to the institutions, but just showing that there is interest from our side. And then I put something here, which is general stigma around disability, because there was a question before, like, yes, but are there going to be people who are sighted and who are hearing to come to those screenings? It depends on the way you communicate them. If you say, we are only inviting you to this screening accessibilized for the deaf and for the blind, chances are, in a country without this conscience of accessibility, that you get in the cinema only blind and deaf people, which is fine. I will be happy to see the whole cinema full of blind and deaf people, but it's not what I want. I want an event for everybody at the same time. This is the real win-win situation. This is why we accessibilize films which fit everybody. This is why we give headsets for the deaf, for the blind, and we don't put a loud audio description. It's not segregation, as Joanna said. It's something for everybody. So I realized that you should be wise in communicating. I communicate the event in this way for the deaf, and I tell them, guys, and we prepare a sign language ad for them. This film is especially thought that you can be in the cinema without any problem, because it's going to have sign language and subtitles. To the blind, I say, guys, you come to the cinema, no worries, we have those headsets, a lovely voice describing, it will be a great experience. Of course, one of your blind friends checked whatever we did, and it's great. But I don't tell the same things in the same words to everybody. Because I realized people, if they don't know what disability is, they are scared, they think, oh, it's something about health. It's not. It's about us. So I started from last year to communicate in a different way to people who are hearing and not not blind. Just to say a lot about the film and why the experience is great for them, and also to mention that there are all sorts of tools used for any kind of ears and eyes. And it works a lot better. I learned this trick from a conference where a guy from Italy, who organizes a festival which is only accessibilized films, they said, we never reach spectators who are not blind and deaf. Only blind and deaf people come to our festival, and it was not the point. We cannot go out of this paradigm. You can, but you need to work a bit more on communication. You don't lie to the people. You don't say, come, there is a lovely film which won the Oscars. But you say that because it's important, but you also say, and that will have accessibility in case you need it or you come with a blind friend, there is no problem. But when I communicate to the blind and to the deaf, I focus precisely on those tools which help them be there and feel welcome to our screenings. What's next? This year, at the national level, these are the places where the money from Dacia Foundation, Dacia is Dacia Renault, the car company. Last year they started the foundation and they are offering money. Of course, I just jumped on that call for projects and convinced them that it's worth spending their money on accessibilized films. And these are the places where we are going until the end of July this year. Their slogan is Romania is moving. So we are just moving, bringing accessibility closer to everybody. And this thing here, those 5 festivals from the 5 countries that I was telling you about, AFN, Animation Festival Network, I think we've been in the 6th year with money from Creative Europe, hopefully getting money for 2 more years. Now we are preparing for this call, which means that in all of these countries, Animateca, Animafest Zagreb, Anifilm, Festanța, Animest, there will be more accessibilized films and events in our festivals, because festivals are a place where everybody wants to be. You meet friends, maybe seeing them only once a year. You would like to see everybody enjoying at the same level, right, without any barriers. And I'm telling you, the moment when you do this, and even if you're hearing and you're not blind or deaf, just go there and stay until the end and attend a Q&A with a variety of audiences. This is something which you've never seen. This is something completely different, no matter how much experience of festivals, of Q&As you have. That's something so beautiful and interesting, and a variety of perspectives that a screening which is not accessibilized does not offer. Here there are some, in case you would like to, of course I'm waiting for questions now if we have time, but just know that we are open, and actually here in the country you have somebody, Animateca, who know how it works, and I think they share the same vision of cinema and culture for everybody. Thank you very much.
Takole najlepša hvala Ligiji za seveda odlično predavanje in predvsem številne izkušnje, ki verjamem, da nam bodo koristile v nadaljevanju naše razprave. Zdaj pa je čas za kakšno dodatno vprašanje. Če je karkoli, na kar Ligija še ni odgovorila, lahko z dvigom roke seveda zastavite vprašanje. Any questions? Aha, Igor, hvala za prvo vprašanje.
Hey Ligia, so Igor Prasel, Slovenian Cinematheque and Animateca Festival. Just maybe short one, because you didn't went into depth. Collaboration with distributors, because probably they don't know and they don't have money to edit. So how did you persuade some of them to work with you?
First of all, because in a festival you usually see very new films, which have maybe never been in your country. And in Romania, there are not many distributors who like to take, let's say, an art house or an arts film, and it's harder to distribute. For those films, it's clear. Nobody will distribute them, so if we accessibilize them, it's only for the festival and for the struggle to have more screenings. But for the distributors in Romania, because I've been working with them not only for Animest, but also for Cinema Without Barriers, it is not only animation. First of all, they say they don't have money. The first distributors, I've been working with them, translating for a long time, and they were the most open distributors that I've met. And I sent, guys, I'm learning how to do this, if you are ever interested. And their answer was, 2 years ago, it's not compulsory by law. When it's compulsory, we will call you. And anyway, the cinemas need to give us special slots to put our accessibilized films in the cinema, otherwise, and they didn't, I realized they didn't know what that was, because I didn't want a special slot. It's a screening for everybody at the same time. They didn't know that. It's normal, because they've never encountered this. So those distributors, I didn't really convince them. They are not convinced until now, but I went to those distributors and local and producers of Romanian films who were more open. First of all, some said, I know you are doing cinema without barriers. If there is some money for that, and they knew there was money from our project and not from them, we can propose some films. And that was easy even for them because they wanted to do it and I had the money. So it was easy. But then they said, oh, we have some more films. And I said, yes, but we don't have more money for that. So you need to contribute too. They don't have special funding to apply especially for accessibility. And this is horrible because it's a burden, like me as a festival and them as the distributor, just trying to find some money for that. So some of them tried to find some companies who help this. Some others counting on us again to write some more projects about that. It's not that they are not willing, it's that there is no special money for that. There is a distributor in Transylvania which distributes films for children. There is this focus and they are very open to that. And we work together. They know exactly that I have the technical things and the people. Some pay for part of it. Sometimes we share the rights. For example, when there was a film for children, and it was distributed in Romania and dubbed. If it's dubbed, it means that I can do audio description with only one voice and not only dubbing the film. So it's easier. We said, let's take this, but the distributors didn't have money, not for the accessibility, but for hosting audio description on an app. Because not all the festivals in the country have these headsets. It's actually only this cinema in Bucharest. So for the others, we use an app which is free on the phone. There are several ones. We use the Brazilian one because, as Joanna said, Brazil is far ahead. So a Brazilian app which is free for the users. You just listen to audio description which is synchronized with the film in the cinema, but for us it's not free. I, as a distributor or festival organizer, need to pay an amount for those. What we did was share the costs. I talked to some other festivals and NGOs which also wanted to screen the film. We shared the costs for a whole year, which was a lot less for everybody. And the distributor was fine to give us the films whenever we wanted to show them. In general, people who are not disabled pay. This is the rule in Romania, and people who are disabled have a limited number of seats for which they don't pay. So we share the costs. But so there are some distributors who are open, some others who don't care, some others who just say it's not my problem, there is no law punishing me, and it's correct, there is no law punishing them. Officially there is a law, but actually in practice there isn't. So they are not fully convinced yet, but what we do is prepare some workshops and some meetings with them, and it's the moment they see there are more people coming, they will understand that it's important to accessibilize their films. There is no research behind me that I could use. For example, in Poland some years ago, because the distributors were not convinced, they did a research on seniors who had the money to come to the cinema, even at odd hours, like 4 o'clock or 6 o'clock, let's say 2 o'clock on Tuesday when everybody works. They realized that those seniors had the money and the time to come, so it was useful for the distributors to get more audience and actually to pay for that. But I don't have this resources to use to convince them. It's just one by one, seeing how important it is.
Hvala za vprašanje. Še kakšno vprašanje?
Okay. I will be around today, so who knows? Or I hope that you got something useful from the many things that I said, and that you are not discouraged, even if you feel like you start very low and you don't have the people, you have to convince the people, the laws, money, tools, and so on. Nothing is lost, you just need to start. And then the moment you see the winning situation of all those people attending the cinema, you will be convinced that it's worth it, and it's not only the law which should force you to do that. I wish you a lot of success and never stop.
Thank you. Thank you, of course, for the motivation. Thank you for all the solutions and the experiences that you shared with us. Ja, kot rečeno, Ligia bo seveda z nami še skozi celoten dan, tako da jo lahko še pocukate za rokav oziroma vprašate kakšno vprašanje tudi v neformalnem delu druženja. Torej, nadaljujemo še z zadnjim, tretjim delom tega prvega uvodnega dela, v katerem smo osredotočeni predvsem na tuje prakse in potem, ko smo spoznali sistemske vidike dostopnosti na Poljskem, potem, ko smo spoznali dostopnostne prakse festivala v Romuniji, je sedaj čas, da gremo še nekoliko bližje, in sicer v sosednjo državo. Kulturologinja in vodja inkluzivnega festivala Film Svima deluje v okviru projektov Film Svima in Kultura Svima, katerih cilj je omogočiti dostopno kulturo za vse ter spodbujati razvoj vključujoče kulturne krajine. Projekt Film Svima se osredotoča na prilagajanje audiovizualnih vsebin za gluhe, naglušne, slepe in slabovidne ter vključuje prevajanje filmov, javne projekcije in razvoj mediateke dostopnih filmov. Tretja gostja mednarodne konference bo torej predstavila razvoj in širitev projekta Film Svima ter njegove nadgradnje, pri čemer bo izpostavila pomen dostopnosti kot temeljnega pogoja za enakovredno sodelovanje v kulturi. Govorila bo o konkretnih praksah prilagajanja filmov, vključevanju različnih skupnosti ter o tem, kako lahko vključujoči kulturni projekti prispevajo k širšim družbenim spremembam. Z nami je, please give a huge round of applause to Maja Ogrizović from Croatia.
Hi and good morning. I will be speaking in English, even though, yeah, I will be speaking in English. You can ask me questions in Slovene, it's completely fine. Now I will sign my name. So, my name is Maja, and also so the deaf community gave me the name, which is long gray hair, and also film. So also I will describe myself. I'm in my 30s, like mid-size. I'm wearing all black, and as I said already, I have a long gray hair. That wasn't supposed to be gray yet, but I gray early, so it's okay. I'm going to present you today my baby. So Joanna had this presentation about the ZAMEK, which I really look up to a lot. Also Ligia presented from the perspective of the festival, and now try to imagine what's happening in Croatia. If I'm standing here, I mean, I'm happy to be here, but I'm a very small NGO with one employed person, part-time employed, and that's not me. Okay, so let's go. I have one small text not to forget, but it's not yet. I want to give you just like a short introduction how I got here. I got here because I was sent by the university where I occasionally work with to go to Adam Mickiewicz. It's the university in Poznań, to give there a lecture similar to this one. So to try to, you know, convince people to fall in love with inclusion, and these people were students at Adam Mickiewicz University. Okay. So my partner and I, we went there and spent a few days there and saw like, ZAMEK, okay, they have a cinema without barriers, okay, it's Thursday evening, 6 o'clock, inclusive film, like, okay, we need to go there. So the price is really 5 zloty, which is €1. There was a lot of people there, and I would say it was more hearing and seeing audience than deaf and blind. I believe it's the price also, but I would say that people were really interested, you know, in the experience. Okay, so my nature is I'm very like, I have to find out who are they, you know, and started sending emails when I went back to the hotel and I saw Gregor, Cerknica, like what's happening? And I sent an email that evening, and Gregor, I don't know where's Gregor, but Gregor replied immediately, and he said like, I'm on my way to Cerknica. I was at the moment in Poznań. I was like, what? Okay, so Gregor called me just to share experience before they had their first film projection, and later on I met Živa also, so I have some introduction with how Kinodvor does it and how Cerknica does it, so I'm happy to have it experience also here. So let's start. You can see, do we have to wait the text? No? Okay. You can see the image descriptions beneath it. I'm not gonna read it. Maybe I will. So the image is a logotype of Film for Everyone project, handwritten in Croatian. It was made by Anja Pouch. If anyone knows who's Anja Pouch, now Anja Kralj, wife of Dejan Kralj, so one of the designers. And also our website is made by Tea Ideja, so we are very Slovene project. So yeah. Design includes black letters on yellow background. So the topic is inclusive cultural practice. So everything for everyone. I know it sounds like, wow, for whom and how, but you will see. This I got from Poznan for all 1.3 billion of us. It's the number of people with disabilities at the moment, living on the planet, and you will see at the end why. These are my contacts. I will also have it like as a last slide, so if anyone wants to contact me, you can find it here. As I was priorly presented, I want to repeat, just to say that that university experience gave me not only the opportunity to share the knowledge with the students in Croatia, but also share it throughout the universities in Europe. Okay, 2 organizations. So the first one is Filmactiv, where I was working in 2016, and I started the project there. But now when we had one, I know that anyone who had Erasmus, that like 154, that simple version of youth mobility, that sometimes you just do it, for the sake of the project and the money and so on. We had a youth council. It was 23 young people who really fell in love with inclusion, and with them we found the new association. It's called Culture for Everyone Everywhere. Just like we collaborate also with the associations for deaf and blind, so they are not our advisors, but we do it together. So we choose films together, we organize things together, so it's some practice of togetherness, which is not easy, but yeah. So my dog is trying to jump on the, okay. I know, I'm so, beautiful. Okay, so this project, of course, aims to make culture accessible to everyone in order to create an inclusive future of co-created culture, which is for everyone, but it was made by everyone. So this is very important. So we don't see it, equal access as consumers can lead us to equal access as creators, which is the thing that we will talk about later. Of course, the first thing is you need to open the door, but how can someone start, working within culture if they don't have the experience of, consuming things in culture, or, falling in love with things, or just being inspired? So, now I'm standing here, I'm able, this ableism is, it will consume us if we don't open the doors also in this field. So one thing I find very important to say that this is an activistic approach that we can all participate in. It's not only for the sake of the projects, it's not only for the sake of the, building your community, of, building the audience or whatever. It's the thing that when you have the privilege to do something, I think the least thing we can do is take that privilege and do it. So if you can organize film festivals, please do it for everyone. If you have the power to decide to have the fund within the Ministry of Culture for accessible culture, please do it. So, do it. Okay, so this is the story. It's my story, but I tend to do it so long, so I will try to short it out. So you can see in this picture, it's a family of 4, at the moment smiling at the camera on a sunny day. One of them is in the wheelchair, maybe you can see, it's the first person, it's my sister, and has visible tracheostomy patch. You know what tracheostomy is, so the person cannot, it's very hard also to communicate. She is the reason why I'm standing here. She is the reason why I'm doing the whole thing. So let's get back to 2016. I just recently finished my studies, and I was doing festivals like in Croatia, some of the big festivals like Motu Film Festival and so on, and I was a film producer. So I was producing, creating, all the time being like hyperactive, like more, let's do some films, let's do some series, let's work with the television. You know, you're not just like being ambitious, but you want to learn things. And then I realized, so 2016, my sister was already diagnosed with multiple sclerosis since 2003, but she was like, let's say, so, okay. But in 2016, everything collapsed. So since then, it's called locked in, if you know what it is. So you're like tetraplegic without the ability to communicate. So we communicate by, you know, with the eyes only. It sounds like more like ay than it is. I mean, everyone's lives is, you know, hard enough. In that year, I saw that if I'm gonna do, you know, business as usual, there's gonna be a lot of sisters and brothers and mothers and fathers and you can, you know, friends and so on, who will just stay at home, not being able to access, you know, the products in culture in general. So it's not only that she's my sister, she's my older sister, and as I said in Poznan, I don't know if anyone has like older sister or brother, please raise your hand. Okay? Okay, so my sister, one of the first influences in era when I was a teenager, Britney Spears was the thing. In lexicon, we had lexicons. I assume that you had lexicons in Slovenia, yeah? In lexicon, I saw in 4th grade, I wrote my favorite band is R.E.M., then Pearl Jam, then Red Hot Chili Peppers. All of my friends, they had like Britney Spears, I don't know, all the other, you know, the bands. So this is the person who convinced me that when you know, spend your time in any part of the culture, it needs to be something which is quality. She took me to the cinema, she took me to the theater, she introduced me to everything, and then eventually I started studying cultural studies. So this is my obligation also. Yeah, so not only, as Joanna said, like it's the thing that we are typical family. So you have someone who's not being able to enter the cinema just because of one, you know, small stair. Also, there are people who are at the moment, for example, someone who's like my mom. You have to be at the chemo, so you're not, you cannot like be exposed to many people at the same time. So it's necessary to find a way how to make culture accessible in various cases. Okay, so solidarity and equality, let's say it's the main like bottom line of the things, but the important thing is that we understand that we sometimes are the others, as I said before. So if you open the door today for the community of deaf and blind, maybe tomorrow someone will open the door also for you. So let's just remind ourselves, not in Yugoslavia, but for example, in Switzerland, back in the 70s, like more than half of this audience wouldn't be able to vote. You know, these things are not so far behind, and we still need to fight. I think it's really a fight. So when you address it like the activistic approach, you get that extra energy, and you find your comrades also. Okay, so let's go to business now. So we are addressing inclusion in terms of disability, but also gender, also language, and also class and socioeconomic. So not only to make films accessible by adapting them and giving them the translation in sign language or inclusive subtitles, as we already heard today for 2 times. I mean, it's the same stories, I would say. It's maybe, yeah, and also audio description, but also think about the price. Think about the time when you're presenting film. Think about where you're doing it. Think about, are the, you know, is there like in technical room all the boys? Why is that happening? Are girls not being able to be there, or we didn't give them, you know, we didn't dig the row? So think about all these things because it will give us back. It will be rewarding. Okay, so the project. We started only with the film Svima, which means Film for Everyone, in 2016. So the project is celebrating its 11th birthday this year. It started very small, and now it's a big girl. This is a presentation, this is a picture of shooting of Croatian Sign Language in the studio. And when the film is being made, we are showcasing it, projecting also, not only in the cinema. I just want to show you that we are trying to find a way how to reach out to the audience, which maybe will not come to the cinema, but they will come to, you know, some events outside, or, for example, did you maybe watch Train in the Snow? Vlak u snijegu? No? It's not? Okay. So it was in Yugoslavia, it was a, wow, huge thing. And I have a hopefully funny story. So when we asked the community of deaf, did they watch maybe Train in the Snow, they all said like, of course we watched. It was made in 1976, and it's part of our lektira. How do you say it in English? Does anyone know? So the regular, yeah, okay, yeah, we understand each other. So everyone was like completely familiar with it. And then I just asked, you know, like carefully, can you please tell me what's happening in the film? And they say, of course. So I will first tell you what's happening in the film. So they got stuck in a snowstorm, like they convinced us it's going to be today, but I don't see any snowstorm at the moment, maybe. So please follow these rules, what to do. So they were traveling with train, it was a snowstorm, and then they, by the power of solidarity and community, you know, they dig the row and the train could go through. And there was a song. I'm a lousy singer, so I will just say, kad se male ruke slože, sve se može, like we can do things together. Yes. So the Deaf Society said, yeah, we know it's about the trip to Zagreb. It's true, they were traveling to Zagreb with the train. They were eating sausages. I mean, it's true, it was a one-day trip and they had like 10 sausages per person or something. I mean, I like that kind of trips. It's super, yeah. So čvarci, ocvirki and so on. They had a lot of meat there. And they got back home. The end, they never heard the song. The song was never titled, the song was never signed. Yeah, so they went there, they ate, and they came home. So even though they would say they had access, did they? It's like the, you know, the access, yeah. Okay, I saw that I lost one slide, maybe not. Okay, so this was a projection on the composition from the film. The whole story, just to say that. We are doing the projections, as I said, in various like occasions. So some of them are also, it's called UGIN Movie Garden. UGIN stands for Association for Deaf and Hard of Hearing, because the Deaf Society in the 2016 didn't go to the cinemas. And we like presented it in the local cinema, and not a single deaf person came. And we were like, what's going on? We prepared the film, everything was so beautiful, you know, we were on the radio, on the television, in the newspapers, everywhere. So someone will tell them or blah, even though we were doing it with the Association of Deaf. And later on, when we came on a meeting, they said like, why would we go to the cinema? We never went there, there's nothing for us. So we started, you know, this term of audience development. We started going to their place, presenting films, and slowly, you know, like training a dog or something, just slowly moving into the cinemas. Yes, that's the dog. I'm trying, yeah, I lost the slide somehow. So I want to tell you that we are, since 2016, we have translated 97 films. We are the second largest translators in Croatia. The first one is Croatian Radio Television. As I said, we are NGO with one part-time, one person employed part-time. We are collaborating with film festivals, also with Animest, so now that's how I know the whole team. Thanks to that collaboration, Animest was for the first time inclusified, let's say like that. It's a beautiful team. They had they were willing to accept the offer, okay, let's do it together. And I'm happy that we are now part of the team of making the new application. Hopefully it will go further. But also we have a huge festival called Pula Film Festival, which is the oldest one in Croatia. And I'm not sure if it's in Yugoslavia, but its 73rd edition is going to be this year. Last year it was first inclusive film showcase there. it's like hooray for us, but so sad, like 72 years. It took 72 years to go there. Also festivals like, you know, for children's films and so on, everything is at the moment done by us, which is good for us, but it's, as I said, so sad that you have to depend on one NGO. We are trying to a bit force the Ministry of Culture and Creation Audiovisual Centre to try to do it systematically, because if we lost interest in it, it will just stop. And it's like, yeah, it's like that. Thank you for the, like, wow. Yeah, so some of the films that we have inclusified, as you saw here, it's The Man Who Could Not Remain Silent, who took us also to the Oscars, and I'm happy to have that experience that when you are nominated, you have to be there presented in these technical, you know, some technical features. One of the technical features is inclusive version, which has to be in Croatian, like in your local language, but also in English. You need to have audio description and subtitles, and if you can also send a sign language. So this is one version how we do it. So you see the translator will be in one black line. The second one is made for the first time and for the last, for the sake of us. I don't think this is a good plan, but this was made because of this is Glavonja. I think you're gonna have it in, we were yet speaking about it, it's gonna be in the cinemas in autumn, I think. Yeah. Okay, so you have a inclusive version if you want to have it or something. I don't know if it's Croatian version, okay for you. So this is made by, the film is made by Marina Andreškop, and she insisted on this kind of inserting Croatian Sign Language interpreter there, because the whole film is made also with these like circles, some elements, and she wanted to make it like the experiment. I like it, but it only works for this film, not for any other. And do you know this film? Did anyone watch Svadba? Yeah, okay. Offset, is it in Slovene? Offset, okay. I said it in Gorski Kotar way, I said. Okay, so this is the third way. They also wanted to have like picture in picture. So yeah, these are the variations. As you can see, here are two interpreters. We only have third one, so it's only 3 people making all-inclusive films. So all 97 so far was made by these 3 people. Because we have a lack of interpreters. I don't know how's the situation in Slovenia, but for example, our interpreters work within their counties, and if someone needs to, as you watched yesterday, Sorda, the deaf, if someone needs to go to deliver a baby, a translator goes there, because still in hospitals no one speaks sign language, no one can say push, harder, breathe, stop. You know, it's like 5 words which you can. Okay, I'm full of criticism today. Okay, so from the Film for Everyone, we started a project, Film from Everyone Everywhere. You can see how creative we are with the namings. Film for Everyone Everywhere is basically the project with which, for the 7th time this year, we go to the schools, also kindergartens, and this project brought me also to the university. So we are teaching, let's say we are practicing solidarity, like social solidarity, through watching a film, and then we learn sign language, or we do audio description, or we try to find a way how to inclusify, for example, some spaces. So the film is like the entry level. It's the conversation starter, and then we continue. So this is how it looks like. Some of the cinemas, for example, this was a celebration of the Film Active's 20 year. They had a birthday, so we invited kids. Also, sometimes we showcase the film on TV in library in the school. It's completely fine. Like We don't have to aim to perfection. I think the goal is now to introduce everyone to it. So sometimes we are in the like sports halls, or you have the audience of 200 kids, or sometimes it's like 5 of them. It doesn't matter. It's important to talk about it. So you can see like this is the least, I think, audience that we ever had, but some of the best workshops. Okay, but also in cinemas, and so on and so on. You see, there's like elan everywhere in this picture. Okay, so after we watch the film, we learn, for example, sign language. We call it inclusion to go, because everyone is like, you know, I don't know, sign language is so interesting also for kids, because now they know how to cheat also on exams. They know how to say, you know, some words that their teachers don't know. So many kids from this workshop started learning sign language, even though they have no one in the family who's deaf or hard of hearing. So yeah, sometimes you can also lay down. I'm very sorry that in Croatia we don't have the opportunity to come to the cinema with dogs. Yes, and now Loti will be our representative. We will try to convince cinemas also to bring Otto or someone else. Okay, then we had this online version. I wanted to tell to you just a bit of the other projects that we do. It's called Book for Everyone, Knjiga svima, in which we make some short stories. We make them in sign language. We have the visual representation and also like audio of it, so it can be understood by a wider audience. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. The wider audience, which is also, we are working with Ukrainian refugees in Rijeka, so they are learning Croatian through these kind of things for children, but also it's easy to understand, easy to learn the language. As I priorly mentioned, the movie garden. We also have the theater for everyone, which is the, unfortunately, also very first in Croatia. It's called like this abonnement, the subscription. So in the National Theatre we have a subscription. As Ligia said, it's not only that you have like one film projection or just have like one theater play or something else. It's necessary to have the option. So you can choose what you want to see, when do you want to go, and so on. One of the project results is not like, oh yeah, it's the second year, it's already 10 plays and so on. We have one couple. So people went on a date there. I think it's like a huge thing. And also from the Theater for Everyone, deaf women and blind women, because every time we finish the play, we start, you know, we talk about it, like how was that experience? Also for seeing and hearing audience to get to know with these inclusive elements and so on, you know, to make the atmosphere a bit softer. They realized that if they have a sign language interpreter, they can communicate. So one of them, you know, the group cannot see, the group cannot hear, but they started the club of deaf and blind women. It's like more than 1 year happening in Rijeka. They see each other monthly and they go in different cultural, so they go together, you know, on the things. Okay, this is Ivona, the third one, as I said, translating the in the Croatian national, and afterwards we have these conversations. Okay, and for the end we have this project, it's called Culture for Everyone, which is, I would say, a natural next step. Yeah, it's from 2021-22. We started the project not only to inclusify cinemas and films, just to repeat, we translate films. We are going with films into different cinemas and festivals and making workshops how to make inclusive films and also how to make the audience interested to come. So we realized, okay, we are doing the whole thing within the film. Why don't we do the whole thing for everything? So we got the award last year for a museum for everyone, which is a baby project within the Culture for Everyone from International Society of Museum Workers, something like that, called ICOM. So as I said already, one of the things that we are doing are monthly educations. And I'm sorry not to put the QR code, but please go to Culture for Everyone. It's called Kultura svima on Instagram. We have educations every Thursday in April. No, every Wednesday in April, sorry. You can participate there. We're gonna talk about how to create, we're gonna talk about it today also, but how to create audio description, how to create sign language interpretation, how to make culture accessible to people with autism, and so on and so on. Also, we have created some guidelines. I'm very happy to hear today about the guidelines for subtitles, because we are now printing the first ever made in Croatia. I really hate this first ever. It's not a competition, but I just want to show you how deep this situation is, that no one ever did it before. We are doing it as our association, but also the Association of the Sign Language Interpreters, the Deaf Society, and the University in Rijeka. Okay, I have some slides about fundings. I just want to talk about it. Maybe you will ask later on questions. Maybe you can leave. We have huge luck that our Ministry of Culture has a fund since 2020, which is dedicated to inclusive cultural practices. And this is the reason why we could, step up a bit. It's not a huge funding. For example, you can get up to maybe 20,000 euros, but before that, we were making film cinema with 5,000 euros per year. So we were all volunteering, everything was made on this basis, and of course it's not sustainable. But also we are part of the CERV, also ESF. We're trying to find a way how to finance inclusive things without applying to the funds who say we are funding inclusive things, trying to find the money in some creative way. Let's say also we got fundings from local and national perspective, so from our municipality and also from Croatian Audiovisual Center, but in total it's 20 plus max 5. So we make the whole festival each year 25,000 euros, and by now, every year we have like 30 projections. By now we have more than 100, so it's not even the end of March because of the Svadba and Glavonja. And the last thing that I will say, which is the very first, about this like multiplex. This was our goal, I have to say, not only art house cinemas, but to enter multiplex. We have entered multiplex, so it's awful. We were like, I turned gray so much from this story, but we had 65 film projections just in one weekend. And it made the film accessible also in places where it's hard to come there, for example, in Dubrovnik or in Vukovar and so on. So, yeah. I have slides about things we did wrong. We did subtitles in colors, but not in this, as we say in Croatia, Romanian way, and we're really like admiring. But there was a rule that every speaker has its color. And if you don't think about it, you make every speaker in its color. So it's 17 colors. It was beautiful. The first film was like that, beautiful, like very inclusive. Yes. Also, we were learning sign language from printed materials. So, for example, just give me a few seconds, please. Letter Z. I don't know if you say Z. How do you say Z? We say Z. Okay. So we say Z. And I was reading and I said Z. Is this a sign in Slovene sign language? It's Albania in Croatian. So I was like, my name is Maja Ogrizović, Albania. So learning sign language from printed materials, never, please never do it, never, never, never. We were not communicating with communities through the whole thing. So for example, we would just choose the film, and then later on we will come there and say, I studied film, I will show you what is the best. And then you realize like, okay, maybe they want to say something. And we were accepting no for an answer. Like at the beginning, festivals was like, no, it's really not possible. And I was like, okay, it's not possible. Okay, fine. Then, someone will say, no, this cinema has very specific rules, it's cultural heritage. We cannot. I was like, okay, no. But now, like, how? It's like, it's ours. It's especially when it's from the city, from the municipality, we pay for it, and you need to make the access. No toilet, make the toilet. No entrance, just make the entrance. So Okay, and our challenges are for lack of willingness among decision makers. So there's no systematic support besides this fund that we have, but it's only fund, it's nothing else. So it's still one NGO, holding the whole inclusive things in Croatia. I mean, there's others who are doing also a bit, not to be, lack of capacity among cultural workers to implement inclusions because they're often tired. Having so many things to do, the job is so much administrated, so you don't have the power to do it. Lack of awareness of the importance of community inclusive programs and the need of develop a specific vulnerable audience, which is now the CineStar experience. They just put film projections and said like, why only 130 deaf and blind people came in the whole Croatia? They didn't put any commercial. They just put, on their website. It's not that, blind people go there and search. Is there maybe today a new film in CineStar, a first film ever? Okay, so result, and this is the end. 11 years, 7 projects. I wrote 95. It's 97 inclusive films. First regular film projections, as I said, in multiplex, these books. We have a library fund within the National Library, this theater subscription, and so on and so on. One thing which is very important is that we make these kind of guides, not to stay the only one, but try to disseminate the knowledge. So our goals are regularity. Regular inclusive film projections, I always say, if Poznan can have Tuesdays and Thursdays, I think we can have like just Wednesdays. We don't have to have like two times a week. Let's just make it once a week, but make it steady. Make it steady. These theater shows, better accessibility, and we need to equip workers in culture, not to expect from them to be ready already. Put some effort there. That's it. For 8.3 billion of us, it's ours. It's our story. Thank you.
Najlepša hvala Maji za izčrpno predstavitev. Tako smo torej šli iz Poljske v Romunijo in sedaj še na Hrvaško. Verjamem, da je tudi še kakšno vprašanje, ki bi ga radi zastavili Maji. Če česa ni izpostavila, zgolj dvignite roko in postavite vprašanje, lahko tudi v slovenskem jeziku. Aha, imamo.
Thank you.
You have to speak in Slovene now.
Oh, okay. Jajce i kokoška.
I like it.
Sorry. Thank you, Maja. It was great. I wanted to ask whether you are working with application for audio description or with the headsets, especially in the multiplex.
Okay. Thank you for the question. It's the reason why I have like a bigger amount of gray hair the last month. So usually we do it only with the headsets. We don't have this, as Gregor said, disco silent party. We have tour guides, because it's a bit steadier connection. You cannot interfere with mobile phones and so on. So we are using a headset. We have a localized version of this Brazilian, and Ligia and I spoke about it before, but it's very expensive for us, so we cannot afford it. It's like 1,500 euros per film. So if we have 97 films there, we don't have the money for one. Yeah? But we have our programmer, Gregor, also, who did for us. We have a like DIY version. So when the film projection starts, people can get that tour guides, that headsets, but also can scan the QR code and they can listen through their mobile phone. So it's maybe more for the audience who just are interested in that experience. So this is the answer. But the Cineplex. It's very complicated because they have a technician operating from Zagreb. So for example, if you have a film projection in Dubrovnik, you don't have an operator there. They are all centralized. So we need to send someone to connect. So we connect, we have people everywhere. We know, Zovičovika kind of things. Yeah, we know people who connect with a transmitter, and then locally we transmit in the cinema. Yeah, it's a bit DIY, but it's quite steady and strong. Some problems are, for example, when you have a film projection in cities during summer when there's a lot of tourists, because Croatia is like overly touristic country. So, for example, in Dubrovnik or Split, there's some interference. So you can listen to tour guide, and then you can see, ovdje je Dioklecijanova palača, you know. So you have to call in advance and say, we're going to use this line. Yes, please.
Thank you, hvala za prvo vprašanje. Še kakšno vprašanje? Igor? Tule imamo še eno vprašanje. Takole.
Ni prva.
Tako.
Okay. Kot sem že prej omenil, naša organizacija ima program kulture in ima zelo širok spekter delovanja, tako da pokrivamo različna področja kulture. In me zanima, ko ste govorili za Hrvaško, vem, da na Hrvaškem imate Zvezo društev gluhih in naglušnih, ampak tam niso tako zelo močni na področju kulture, bolj se ukvarjajo z tolmačenji, recimo. Vem pa, da v Zagrebu obstaja tudi kulturno-umetniška organizacija, ki se imenuje Dlan. No, oprostite, nisem opazil, mogoče, a ste že slišali, ali da bi kaj omenili tega. No, v glavnem, mi z njimi tudi sodelujemo in poznamo njegovega akterja, Lino Uršič, tako, z njimi sodelujemo, tako da bi mogoče lahko še več sodelovali z njimi, da bi lahko, ker oni imajo kar močno zaledje gluhih in pa interesentov, ki bi lahko sodelovali z vami. Oni so pri nas bili aktivni, tako da tudi mi smo bili pri njih na izobraževanju, smo imeli tudi take izmenjave kulturnih izkušenj.
Super komentar bi sad rekla. Naš kolega surađujemo sa Angelom Naumovskim koji je dio Dlana. To su uvijek se treba pohvaliti, znači samo zastupnici, kako mi to kažemo, znači zajednica gluhih koja oni stvaraju svoje predstave. Najčešće su u biti u izvedbenim umjetnostima i to je super stvar. Mi trebamo biti raditi te suradnje u kojima, znači, radimo recimo filmsku projekciju koja neće biti napravljena za gluhe i samo za gluhe. Imam osjećaj da nekada zajednice gluhih i zajednice slijepih, barem to u Hrvatskoj bude, vrlo često ostane ta informacija zatvorena, a primjerice Dlan radi fantastične predstave koje nisu samo namijenjene gluhim osobama. Samo što se i dalje, kada ide iz samozastupništva, ne znam koji je razlog, ali vrlo često ostane zatvoreno unutar zajednica gluhih ili slijepih. Ali Angel je jedan savršeni primjer, i Lino također, ljudi koji se trude, znači to već preko 20 godina. Da.
Ja, najlepša hvala za vprašanje. Ne vem, če je sicer tole se prevedlo, ampak tako kot je, najbrž ste razumeli. Se je? Odlično.
Super.
Igor?
Znači Igor, kojeg smo svi upoznali koga ne zna, znači Igor je osoba koja...
Zašto pričaš na hrvatski sada?
Sorry, I have to speak in... Yeah.
Ja sam samo eno kratko informacijo preveril s tabo, ki se je pojavila v slovenskih medijih, tudi pred nekaj dnevi. Torej, Ministrstvo za kulturo Hrvaško je Art Kino Kroacija v Rijeki podelilo 85.000 evrov. Pa me sam zanima, če je to nek fond, na katerega ste lahko tudi aplicirali.
Okay.
Če nočeš govoriti, lahko kasneje.
Oću. Can I speak in... Yeah, pričat ću na hrvatskom. Znači, to je fond, to je ISF, koji je bio najavljen pred 4 godine i najavljen je bit će za infrastrukturu. Niko nema novaca za infrastrukturu i svima je infrastruktura problem. Znači, ona je trebala biti za razvoj društvenog bla bla bla, ali kroz ugradnju liftova, ugradnju stepenica, mi to još uvijek nemamo riješeno. Znači, jako je smiješno, ali kod nas doslovno jedna stepenica još uvijek išiju. Izuzev Cinestara i tih komercijalnih stvari. I to su odlučili promijeniti i stavili su, pa mi sad vi recite da li ja imam taj razlog da budem, znači stavili su fond u koji su rekli, ok, ipak ništa infrastrukture, idemo na programe, u redu, super su i programi. Ne mogu se prijaviti udruge, samo institucije, dobro. Institucije ne bilježe jesu li već ranije radile inkluzivne programe ili rade samo zato što je pojavljen fond, ok, to drugo. I treće, šta mislite, znate kad je ISF, jeste radili, kad European Social Fund? Tamo vam je sve jako metrika, sve, koliko je došlo ljudi, brojiš samo ulaz, prvi ulaz, ne računa se drugi i tako dalje, i on je u biti jako težak za rad, s obzirom na to da ti moraš sve to mjeriti. I bilo je najavljeno da će biti osobe s invaliditetom. Znači, bit će ili osobe s invaliditetom, imigranti i tako dalje. Znači, osobe u nepovoljnom položaju. Okrenuli su ga i napravili za djecu, mlade i starije. I sad, primjerice, to isto kino koje moram pohvaliti jer je odlučilo napraviti projekciju, ali ih moram pokuditi jer mi dolazimo iz istog grada i jedine su naše projekcije tamo, što stvarno nema smisla i nemamo još ni dovoljno prostora, ali imaš projekt koji će biti usmjeren razvoju dječje publike. Svi koji radimo s djecom znamo da je to najlakše. Znači, ne želim biti bezobrazna, ali tebi je najlakše dovesti do nekog broja. Ako kažeš vrtić mi dolazi, ajde ti probaj dovešćeš 90 djece u vrtić bez problema, danas se dogovorimo. Ali ako ćeš dovesti 90 osoba s invaliditetom, a ISF-u se broj, mislim, javi da sam pisala projekt u instituciji, isto bi išla raditi s vrtićem jer su mi veće šanse da ću dobiti. Tako da, mi smo isto dio projekta od gradske knjižnice i od Nacionalnog parka Brijuni, znači to je širi krug, jer biti se mogao tamo prijaviti. Tako da, ne znam, gradska knjižnica je dobila 400.000 eura s kojima će 2 godine raditi, biti programe i za djecu i za mlade, ali i za osobe s invaliditetom. Tako da, to je nešto što bih htjela pohvaliti, možda više.
Hvala za vprašanje. Še kakšno vprašanje? Ok, upam, da nisem spregledal kakšne roke in da se lahko ob tej priložnosti še enkrat zahvalimo Maji Ogrizović za predstavitev projekta Filmski. Verjamem, da smo dobili ogromno vrhunskih izhodišč za nadaljevanje naše konference. V drugem delu, kot smo obljubili, se selimo iz tujine, iz tujih praks na slovensko področje.